Mheshimiwa Waziri Kabogo, rafiki yangu, asante sana kwa kukuja hapa. Balozi Gutu, Prof. Iraki, Chairman Thibault, Chairman Othman, Mkurugenzi Domitil, wanabiashara wote, hamjamboni nyote. Habari asubuhi. Mko poa? Yangu ni mfupi kabisa. Mimi ningependa kukaribisha wote katika French Week kwa mara la tatu. Kwanza ningependa sema pongezi kwa timu mpya, kwa chamber, kwa kazi safi. Makofi kwao. I think we can clap for those who don't understand Swahili. I think there's still room. I would like really to congratulate the new leadership of Kenya-France Chamber of Commerce, Chairman Thibault Flichy, Mkurugenzi Director General Domitil Guilloton, for having us, having done this fantastic job of bringing us together. So, and I want also to congratulate all of you for being present for the third time here for the French Week. I don't want to be too long. I just want to echo what has been said by Thibault about the significance of the France and Kenya relationship in terms of business, trade and investment. France is among the top 5 provider of FDI in this country. And when we say that, it looks like a bit, an abstract number. But the French companies investing here in Kenya are providing 36,000 direct jobs. And you can make the math in terms of indirect jobs. So that shows the significance of France as an investor, and not only as a trading partner, but as an investor. I want also to underline that France is the 3rd bilateral financier of Kenya. And that, again, looks a little bit, perhaps, abstract. But when you break it down to the various sectors, and I think you'll have detailed discussion on the various sectors across the coming days, France is the first bilateral partner of Kenya in the field of energy. Across the board, from energy generation to distribution to last mile. And I think it is also through public financing, but not alone. We have also private companies significantly investing in IPPs in this country. I was myself last week or 2 weeks ago in Kajiado to commission the 2nd largest wind farm in this country by an investment by Meridiam. I think Meridiam might be in the room. But this is significant, and that helps actually creating the energy generation for Kenya that is needed as Kenya industrialized. I want to say water. I think Water FD has been also doing a tremendous job with Kenyan authorities in providing affordable and reliable water provision. ICT, I have to say something because Waziri is here. We're having advanced discussion on the infrastructure part, fiber optics, using some of the energy network that we've been also supporting. And I hope by the coming weeks and months, together with the ministry, Waziri, AFD and Treasury, we can come to a close and announce a very significant project for building the digital infrastructure of this country. But I think when we talk about digital and AI, it's about also investing in human capital. And France and Kenya have a significant partnership within the University of Nairobi, whereby we're going to build the state-of-the-art engineering and science complex. So we want to partner to be able to train together the engineers of tomorrow that Africa, Kenya can industrialize in the green way. And I think we have also to learn from, it has been said, from the degree of entrepreneurship and creativity of the young people of this country. Finally, I think creative economy is an untapped sector we were discussing with Waziri, in a country where you have a youth bulge. This is definitely a space for the young people to invest and grow their potential, nurture it, monetize it, and get some revenues and get inclusion in the society. Finally, we'd like to consider this very important meeting that we're opening today as an important milestone going towards our France-Africa Summit. It will take place here in Nairobi, jointly organized by Kenya and France, that will bring Africa, but will bring the world as well. Not only we will have the African heads of state, but we'll bring people from India, people from Germany, people from Europe, the banks, to have a very critical discussion about investing in the future of Africa, because the future, an Africa that is prosperous is an Africa that helps Europe and helps France. So I think I want to consider this meeting as being a very building block for the May meeting. So you're all invited, 11 and 12 of May 2026 in Nairobi. And in closing, I wish you fruitful deliberation. I want to invite all of you, because France, we do things seriously, but we like fun. And I think that's something we have in common with Kenya. We have the art of sherehe, And so I'd like to invite you, when you close this meeting, this important discussion, to have a bit of fun at the residence on Thursday evening. So we'll have Kidogo wine, but also a fashion show showcasing the best of French fashion and Kenyan fashion. So I hope to see you there. I wish you fruitful deliberation. And it's my distinct honor now to call on stage our guest of honor. Put your hands together for Waziri Kabogo. Asante sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency, my friend and Ndugu. My Swahili is not as good as his. And I have done it for many years, but he's a good student. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I was just speaking to the ambassador a couple of minutes ago, and I was saying French has a lot of footprints in Kenya, but most Kenyans don't know that. We probably need to up our game on letting Kenyans know what it is that French people and the French government is contributing to this good country. And I'm one of those who say Africa has been on the receiving end for many years. But Balozi, I promise you, in not too long to come, Africa will be giving back to those countries that support us, like France. I just met a young man there who knew me a while ago and said my haircut has changed. And I said the guy who does my hair is different. And I can see I have colleagues here who are cheating nature. Welcome to the club, and let it be. Allow me to make a couple of remarks, and thank you for inviting me, Arnold, to be here this morning with you. Kenya is moving at a supersonic speed, and like I was saying earlier, we have a population that is 70% under the age of 30. And I was saying my plan, for as long as I'm in the ministry, I don't know for how long, because this job, you never know. But mine is to bring in the young and bring them into the ministry and mostly in government, so that they can become part and parcel of their own development. And this we can do. I'm also telling him that I have a plan of making government completely paperless. And that is meeting a lot of resistance, and I know I'm on camera. But nevertheless, we want to make government paperless. And by doing so, half the corruption will disappear. So we also need support of our partners in getting this done. I was in Baku last week, and I've seen how quickly government can be digitized. And it doesn't have to be one company, because many companies can do it and have a bridging interoperability module somewhere that brings all these parties together. But nevertheless, that will be a story of another day. Allow me to just go through a couple of things that have been done here for us to launch this great day. It is a great pleasure to join you this morning for the opening of the 2025 French Week Innovation Day. I extend my sincere appreciation to the French Chamber of Commerce in Kenya and the French Embassy for their kind invitation and for convening this important platform. Over the years, French Week has become a respected space for dialogue, commercial engagement, and partnership building between our two nations. Kenya continues to strengthen its digital and economic foundations through deliberate policy reforms, major infrastructure investments, and strong collaboration with the private sector. Our national ambition is clear: to build a modern, secure, inclusive, and globally competitive digital economy that delivers real value to our citizens and opens sustainable opportunities for business and investors. Earlier this year, the government approved the Kenya Cloud Policy, which sets out a modern and coordinated approach for deploying and managing digital services across the public and private sectors. The policy cloud-first direction accelerates our transition from fragmented legacy systems to secure, interoperable, resilient, and cost-effective cloud environments. This reform strengthens data protection, enhances service efficiency, and ensures that our national system operates on trusted and reliable platforms. In March 2025, we complemented this direction with the launch of the Kenya Strategy on Resilable Innovation and Emerging Technologies 2025-2030. This national framework prioritizes responsible governance, trusted data ecosystems, ethical safeguards, capacity building, and coordination across sectors. It reinforces Kenya's intention to modernize public service, promote innovation that is safe and inclusive, and ensure that emerging technologies strengthen rather than undermine public trust and national interests. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to highlight the progress Kenya has made across the various sectors that today's discussions will explore. On energy, Kenya continues to lead the region in the adoption of clean and reliable energy. More than 80% of our electricity is generated from renewable sources, including geothermal, hydro, wind, and solar. We remain the 8th largest geothermal producer in the world, with continued expansion at Olkaria and across the new fields. Utilities are modernizing operations through upgraded grid monitoring, smart metering, and automated billing systems. Rural electrification has accelerated through solar mini-grids, and new momentum in clean cooking and electric mobility is reshaping how households and businesses access energy. This development creates strong opportunities for collaboration in grid digitization, renewable energy technologies, storage, mobility solutions, and efficiency tools, areas where French companies have considerable experience and expertise. Kenya's retail sector has undergone profound transformation driven by digital payments and online commerce. Mobile money and digital wallets have become the backbone of transactions, enabling millions of consumers and SMEs to trade with greater convenience and security. Retailers are strengthening their supply chains through digital inventory systems, logistics automation, and blockchain-supported traceability solutions. Digital tax systems, including the eTIMS platforms, are improving compliance, transparency, and government revenue. I'm smiling because I was reading something online when I was coming here, and some lady, I can't remember her name, says, this is so Kabogo. And she was preparing to file some documents, and she was saying this should be clouded, and she threw it in the outside and said, so that is Kabogo preparing to cloud our systems. On healthcare, counties and national facilities have expanded the use of electronic medical records, digital scheduling, and hospital management systems. The national health supply chain now relies on real-time dashboards and digital platforms to track vaccines, medicines, and consumables, including temperature monitoring for cold chain integrity across hundreds of facilities. Telehealth and remote consultations are improving access to care, particularly in the underserved regions. Our reforms in health financing, including the transition to new social health authority, rely on digital systems to support transparency and efficiency. These areas offer opportunities for collaboration in hospital technology, diagnostics, data systems, medical logistics, and digital health solutions. On the side of infrastructure, the ongoing rollout of 100,000 kilometers of fiber is connecting every county and sub-county and positioning Kenya as East Africa's digital gateway. Our data center capacity is expanding through public and private investments. In transport, landmark projects such as the Nairobi Expressway, upgrades at our ports, modernization of SGR, and the continuous improvements and in aviation and roads are enhancing national connectivity. In water and sanitation, the new treatment facilities, piping networks, and waste management projects, including several supported by the French people and the French government. These investments open meaningful opportunities for French expertise in engineering, construction and digital infrastructure management, and environmental technology. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to expand nationwide programs that equip young people with digital and technology skills, including Ajira Digital, Jitume Labs, TVET modernization, and partnerships with global technology firms. Our GBS and BPO sector now employs over 34,000 workers. With a wider pool of more than 600,000 digital-ready youth capable of supporting customer engagement, data service, software support, and back office operations, these competencies position Kenya as a competitive destination for outsourcing and technology-enabled services. This is an area ripe for deeper Kenya-France cooperation in training, certification, apprenticeship, and enterprise development. Ladies and gentlemen, these achievements reflect a country that is not waiting for the future, but actively shaping it. Our policies, investments, and reforms are designed to ensure that technology strengthens public services, drives economic growth, enhances resilience, and creates meaningful livelihoods for our people. We also recognize the important role the French Chamber plays in facilitating two-way opportunities, including supporting Kenyan companies seeking to explore and expand into the French market, and in strengthening the trade and investment links that benefit our economies. France is a valued partner in this journey. Your companies, your institutions, and your government continues to contribute to Kenya's development, and we welcome even deeper collaboration, particularly in cloud services, digital infrastructure, clean energy, water management, transport, retail innovation, and skills development. I commend the French Chamber of Commerce in Kenya for organizing this platform and for bringing together such a distinguished group of leaders and experts, and encourage you to explore new partnerships, investments, innovations, and deliver value to both our countries. With these few remarks, it is my honor to officially open the 2025 French Week Innovation Day. Mungu abariki. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now that the day is formally open, I would like to start off with the first roundtable of the morning, which is around AI Unplugged, from hype, to real impact, that will be moderated by Luisa Cetina, Vice President of the French Chamber, but also from Director at ALN, a partner of the French Week. So please come on stage. She will be joined by Peter Adu from the AFD, Vanessa Roux from In-Group, Francis Ngari from NIVAS, and Ifeanyi Odo from Schneider. Thank you all. Let's give them a warm round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. As Domitille mentioned, my name is Luisa Cetina. I'm the Vice President of the Board of the French Chamber, and I'm a partner at the law firm of Anjarwal & Khanna. I'm really excited to be moderating the opening panel of today's session on probably the most topical global issue. And we're talking about whether AI is all hype or how it actually applies in industries and the significance of AI to Kenya and the region at large, including how partners from France and the global community can participate and work together with Africa. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my panelists, and I'll begin with Peter, who is to my left. Peter Ado is currently the Deputy Country Director for the Agence Française de Développement, the French Development Agency in Kenya, where he focuses on strengthening project impact and supporting infrastructure, urban development, and public sector initiatives. He's an experienced data scientist, so very relevant to today's topic, and has an extensive background in working with data and emerging technologies in the developing contexts. In his prior role, he actually led the artificial intelligence section of the Emerging Tech Lab at the French Development Agency in Paris. And prior to that, he worked at the French National Center for Scientific Research as a researcher. He is keen on ways we can leverage data and emerging technologies to improve growth and people's lives. To his left, I have too many papers, clearly. We have Vanessa Roux. She is the Kenya General Manager for In-Group, which is a fascinating company that we will discuss shortly. She brings significant Pan-African leadership experience with over 20 years of experience in business development at the B2, B2G level. Her impressive career spans various managing roles at prominent companies like Johnson & Johnson, Amadeus IT Group, Intertech International, and Air France in Central Africa. And she has governmental experience, including working with the government of Gabon and the U.S. Embassy in Gabon and Sao Tome and Principe. And next, we have Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi is currently the country president for Schneider Electric East Africa, a role in which he leads the company's strategic vision and operational excellence for the region. He is very enthusiastic about driving change and setting strategic direction. He has driven innovation and sustainable growth in diverse markets, I think 3 different regions, including in Southeast Asia, where he introduced e-mobility infrastructure, energy as a service solutions, and multiple training centers across the region. And he also worked in West Africa. He's passionate about entrepreneurship, impact, sustainability, and committed to energizing Africa through innovation. And last but not least, Francis. I didn't get to say hi to you earlier. Francis is the Chief Technology Officer at NIVAS, Kenya's leading retail chain. As CTO, he drives digital innovation, manages IT infrastructure, and spearheads technology-driven retail transformation to enhance operational efficiency and customer experience. So with Francis, we'll be discussing how we apply technologies like AI to the retail sector, which is actually quite interesting. So I would like to start the panel with the practical applications of it. But for those of us who actually don't know AI very well, the technology, are not familiar with it, we may not know the massive cost of AI. Energy costs, for example. Data centers require massive amounts of power, cooling, and technology like ChatGPT, according to the latest statistics, used over 1,700 megawatts of energy, which, just to give you an indication, is the equivalent of the amount of energy that the average American household, that 160 average American households use in a single year. That is what it takes to power something like ChatGPT. So extremely expensive technology. Given the cost of this technology and the power needs, if any, should regions like Africa be focusing on developing AI, on adopting AI? How can it manage the intense power usage? And what are some of the use cases for the region?
Good morning, everyone. I like that last question, and I want to start from the back because we speak about use case. Why should we even care about AI, digital innovation, digitalization? And Honorable Cabinet Secretary shared a lot, but before we dive into what I would call the problem opportunities that comes on the power side, let's look at the real life application. 3 examples, 3 different sectors I want to share, and all of this is happening right here in Africa, in East Africa, and some even in Kenya. One, and he mentioned a little bit of it, that was in healthcare, where we have local startup companies fully driving the full digitization of primary healthcare in a way that is fully self-sustaining. And before I start to use the big grammar, let's look at the outcome of what this digitization means. Now you have, with data consolidation coming out of these different healthcare clinics, in neighboring countries like Rwanda, they're now able to predict the next outbreak before it happens. They're able to track the mortality rates, whether it's at infants, what does it mean for healthcare in general? Where would they site the next hospital clinic? And more importantly, how do they make it operationally efficient? So with data and predictability, they are even centralizing or transforming, by the way, logistics in a way that they are now using drones to deliver within 5 minutes blood to some of this clinic. The quick syringe and everything that each clinic would need. And this whole innovation was incubated here in Africa. And today, more than 18 African countries are hungry and already on track trying to deploy this. And by the way, it's going outside of the continent. So to your comments, the African talents are already exporting this because all of this was developed by raw talents here in East Africa, between Rwanda and even Kenya. That's one. And there is a part to it which I will circle back in a bit. The second example, industries. Today, we are already working, also at Schneider Electric, with most of the manufacturing industries here in Kenya. And we are now on track to go from what you can call preventive maintenance to prescriptive maintenance. And what does it mean, prescriptive? We are able to predict the problem, diagnose it, and prescribe a solution for you to avoid downtime. And this is the license to operate for many industries today. At a time of hyper-globalization and lots of competition, for every industry to survive, you need to double down on your productivity. This is how you empower the youthful population. And speaking of empowerment, it brings me to the third example, which is in education. I mean, with the support of the embassy and many of the good collaborators in this room, we have been very obsessed on how we can provide that. I mean, we say, teach me how to fish, not give me fish. And this is what we have been doing by trying to not just trying, but actually equipping multiple TVET centers and universities with this state-of-the-art equipment for them to innovate around. And I'll give you one example around one of these TVET centers that was opened last year again. I believe it's Eastland, where the students and the teachers was coming back to us with feedback to say, look, with not just the hands-on equipment, but this augmented reality that you have given to us, we are now optimizing the cost of training. This is, by the way, for welding. One of the applications was for welding because there are multiple applications. And what they have realized is that in the past, the students would have to do maximum 3 practical welding because of the cost of all the materials, the wastage and everything before they are deployed to site. But today, they're able to do it on a virtual space multiple times, refine their crafts before trying to do the physical one. And with these savings, they are able to now train much more students. And within weeks, these students are already very well refined in their craft. So you see some of these examples are some of the simple use cases already happening here in Kenya, in East Africa. And what is at the heartbeat of what makes this possible? Data. If I come back to the first example of the healthcare, you have a lot of sensitive patient data, and I'm sure Vanessa would also buttress on this. And the moment many of the African countries realize that this is what we need to address access to affordable healthcare, and even, by the way, address the power infrastructure that comes with what needs to be done in many of these clinics, they also realize that where this data would sit is also as critical. This data needs to be hosted in data centers. And some of them realize at the tail end that they don't even have a data center in the country. You can imagine, even just the perception of risk, having to store your own citizen data somewhere, he said it, the cloud, throw it up there, somewhere in the world that you don't even have control. And now it means having to rethink, because the future, they say data is literally the gold and the oil or whatever you call it of the future. But how you manage this data is the most important thing, and the first part of it is data center. Kenya has been at the forefront of building these data centers. As of today, we have roughly 20 megawatts of data centers existing, on track already to be at 80. Now, here is the most interesting thing. The past few weeks, we've been working together with industrial leaders at McKinsey, and we see that Kenya would need 1 gigawatt of data center infrastructure within the next 10, 15 years. What is the power grid today of Kenya? 3.3. Already more than 1/3 will be consumed if we don't do something today. So there is a big urgency to do something about it. And then there is also a very urgent need for governments to rethink data privacy, data residency, data sovereignty. The good thing is that the infrastructure already exists. For us, what we are already doing is to make this whole infrastructure more efficient, more productive. So majority of data centers in East Africa are being assembled locally, but we also need to rethink the energy policy alongside the data center policy. Because now we have to plan with the KPLC, the KenGen, to make sure that this is on track. I'll pause here a bit, but the short answer to your question is the use case is there. The urgency to build data center is there. We have many data centers already here, but we also need to make sure that the governments, the heads of states, are enforcing the residency of the country's data in the country, because this is how you drive adoption, and we can collaborate closely to make the data center infrastructure much more efficient, because we are already designing for the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Ifeanyi. Yeah, it is clear that we need to think about power first and the necessary infrastructure for the data. I find the example about the use in welding for simulations fascinating. I was telling Ifeanyi that he's going to have to train my associates with simulations as well. In terms of the AI use, I was actually reading yesterday that Meta, as the company, has a goal to ensure that at least 75% of its own workforce is using AI on a daily basis. They are actually analyzing their workforce performance and KPI based on how often they use AI on any given day, and to such a degree that they have gamified AI usage within Meta. So the employees will be given power up if they use AI based on a certain number of hours per day. So that just gives you a sense of the trend. I would like to now go to Peter, because we were just talking about the need to invest in infrastructure, and historically, development finance entities have focused on financing physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, and so forth. So, Peter, I would like to ask you whether we should now be mainly focusing on funding data infrastructure, what AFD's focus is with regards to financing infrastructure that is related to AI, and what your plans are for the region.
Hello. Yeah, I guess you can all hear me. Many thanks for the question, and I'm happy to be here to be able to learn, share, and also engage with everyone. Back to your question. So, digital and data infrastructure, in a nutshell, AI compute, is extremely important and is a fundamental enabler for economic transformation. And this is also comparable to energy and roads, right? And as my colleague actually pointed out, you actually need energy to be able to run some of these systems. And you need data to be able to get some of these systems running and have evidence-based decision making. So at AFD, we see all this to be at the same level. It's important to invest in all these areas. And we actually believe, and we have a posture, that responsible AI or emerging technology, if responsibly used, can help in service delivery and can also help to be able to boost economic growth. And so we look at the investment in about 3 areas. So one is AI compute, so connectivity, energy, all those things that will give the solid background. It's like rebuilding a house. You need a good foundation, right? So you need the right AI compute, data infrastructure, and also data governance. It's not just building an infrastructure. It is important to have the right governance on that. And then the second point on that is that it is important to have the right human capital. So that means training people, right, at all levels, even parliamentarians. For instance, if a parliamentarian does not even understand what data governance is about, what AI is all about, how do they make the right policies to be able to stimulate innovation, right? So education at all levels is very important, and we do it in different ways, either technical assistance, through dialogues, political dialogues, policy dialogues, either investing in talent, right? So I think the ambassador also pointed out an initiative that we're working with the University of Nairobi on the engineering and science complex, which is very good. We also have a series of policy dialogues to be able to adapt some of the needs to the local context. So it's extremely important. And then the third part is actually on regulations. So regulations and right policy framework is also very important. And to do this, it's important that we try to adjust to the local context. So, for instance, in France, we do have a giant which is called the Mistral, which is the equivalent of OpenAI. We've had several discussions with them, and the approach is very important because they can collaborate with industries or companies and build solutions in the local context, develop the talents locally, and let the local or the national stakeholder actually take lead on that, right? So we try to bring in and mobilize partnerships, right, to be able to handle solutions in the local context. So I'll stop for now. Thanks.
Thanks, Peter. I'd like to turn to Vanessa now, because Vanessa, as I mentioned, works for InGroup. And I mentioned it was a fascinating company. This company has been around for 500 years. We can't say that about many companies that are still around. So InGroup was historically the official printer of the French state, and was that for over 90% of its history. It's really been in the last 20 years that it has done a push towards digitization. And I was fascinated by that, and I would like to ask Vanessa how you get a company that for 490 years focused on printing paper to become innovative in the digital world. How are you disruptive? How do you encourage innovation? How do you prepare for the era in which we are right now?
Thank you, Luisa. Good morning, everyone. So InGroup stands for Imprimerie Nationale, and you are right. We exist over the last 500 years, so 5 centuries of innovation for protecting citizens, enhancing sovereignty of states. And okay, let's talk about innovation, but our mission is not really innovation. Our mission, as I said, is to protect the identity of citizens. And the question we've been asking for is how can we continue to protect the identity of citizens and to be trusted also by government, because we are working with more than 100 countries in the world, with many governments in the world, printing passports, printing ID, national IDs, official documents. And how can we make it more trustable? And this is how we are always innovating, not only in digitalization, but in protecting securities, investing in security, investing in research and development. And yes, digitalization comes into our mind because we are following also the trends of the world, and we are going to AI also, investing in AI activities, because we want to protect the citizen of all the threats, all the cyber threats, and investing in AI. Let's have a user case, maybe, for everybody to be aligned at the same page. How are we using AI to protect the citizen? For example, everybody has electronic passport. Within your passport, you have a chip. It's hidden into your passport. Now in the Kenya, we are also printing the national ID of Kenya. You have a chip also. So that chip is readable, and when it's read, what that chip contains, it contains your photo, contains your fingerprints, all your biometric data. Let's say, for example, when you are using the border gates at airport, you have seen border gates in many airports. For example, we have 20 border gates at Zimbabwe airport. So when you enter into a border gates, you authentify yourself with your passport, readable, and then you put your fingerprints, there's facial recognition. Why we are using AI? Because when you are entering the border gates, for example, you have your photo. For example, I can store a passport and enter into the border gates. So the facial recognition, empowered with AI, will be able to say whether I am Vanessa or another person, and alert the supervisor at the gates, at the airport. So this is how we use AI as a tool to help us to protect the identity of citizens. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. So I think, Vanessa, let me stick with you and go to my second question, just because you've raised this, and I think it's important for people to understand this. A huge concern that people have with the use of AI is losing control to algorithms,
Yes.
Especially in the case of identity protection, border control, where there's a perception that humans may be unable really to control how an AI decides whether you're going to get a visa, whether you actually can enter a specific country. You have AI-generated images that look uncannily like the person. So how do you reassure the general public about addressing those sorts of concerns?
Yes, so as I say, we are investing in AI. We are investing to protect the citizen. This is our core mission, and the AI with our technology act as a matching technology. So when you enroll yourself, for example, to create your passport, to print your passport or your national ID, you come to a live, unit at the authorities, your national authorities, and you register into the database, you register your biometrics, your fingerprints, your picture, so the AI will decide if it's the same picture or if the same fingerprints. So we are not using AI to create new passports. We are using AI as a tool of matching for facial recognition and for fingerprints. Let's say, for example, in Kenya, you have an hybrid system for enrollment for fingerprints. Sometimes, for example, in counties, they are still using, the manual fingerprints, so with ink. So, and these fingerprints will be scanned and inserted in the database. Let's imagine that, for example, for the renewal of your passport or your national ID, you are coming to a live unit capture unit. So in the live capture, you have a scan of fingerprints. It's not the same. So AI will help us to recognize whether it is the same fingerprint or not. And if there's a doubt, the AI will say, for example, the matching is, for example, 60%, and then it will raise a concern, it will raise an awareness for a supervisor to come. So we'll need a human being to give, the final decision. So AI is just a tool, for us to be able to be quick, in the decision-making process.
Thanks, Vanessa. Yeah, I feel that Peter is dying to come in. This sounds to me a little bit like the diagnostics usage in the medical field, where you are basically enhancing the ability to detect in areas where perhaps